What you doing over here?
Well, since the furnace went out and I found out my gas fireplace also is not working, I'm trying to manifest heat.
Manifest by sitting in front of the real not working fireplace with a video of a fireplace?
Yeah, well, it's not like there's a video on how to fix this or nothing.
Actually, I hear there's a guy who knows how to fix all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah? Show him to me.
Smash Engineering.
Alright, so in our situation, when you turn it on, this is a timer. You might have a light switch, you could have a remote here. We have a timer here. All it's doing is the pilot light comes on, it arcs for a second, lights the pilot, and then it never progresses. It goes straight from off to that, like it's supposed to, but then it never goes any farther. And then also sometimes it cuts out, like before it went to this spot, it was cutting in and out and not staying on, not being reliable like that. So first thing you're gonna do is make sure it's off. Make sure your flame goes out. Make sure this isn't hot. If you've had it running, it's hot, but you lift up on here, pull straight back, that's your screen. Set that to the side. All of your stuff is all of your componentry is down here. If you can get in here and see, starting with over here, this is where it plugs into your wall power. So if you have power in your house, this is your plug for your circuit board, your computer board, I guess we'll call it, whatever this thing is called, the brain. And then this piece here is the brain. And then these wires coming off, this goes to your ignition, the orange wires to your ignition. The, let's see, I'm sorry, the orange wires to your pilot, and this is to your start switch, so like if, basically when it's arcing. Here is your gas control valve. This knob here, if you have this style, this knob here controls how big your flame is. So big or small, high and low. This is your pilot side of your ignition valve. Is it blurry? And then this is your main side. It seems kind of blurry. Here, hold on, we're gonna pause this. Is that better? Okay, so this is your main side, this is your pilot side. So when you first turn on the switch, it calls for the pilot to start igniting. That's the pilot wire that goes up inside in the back in here. There's a pilot ignition. Let me see if I can show you how to test that. So okay, so if you unplug your white wire and you turn it on, I don't know if we can see. Yeah, you can. See it constantly igniting there? It's going to keep doing that. So if yours turns on and stays igniting like that, you keep seeing that spark and you can actually hear it. That is because the sensor on the end of this white wire either went bad or the brain inside of here is not detecting what this is supposed to. It's basically like a flame sensor. So it knows after the sensor starts to get hot, it sends a voltage this way and tells this computer that, here, I need both my hands. It tells this that, hey, I feel heat. So you can go ahead and turn on the main source. So that's not the problem because the igniter does go off. So we know that's not the problem. So then, let's see, other things. Your battery backup. So this is your battery backup. If you don't have power, like if you lose power and you still want to heat your house with the with the fireplace, like say that was unplugged basically, the fireplace will ignite off of this. So you don't have to have this, but if you don't have this and you lose power, it won't ignite. Let's see, what else is there? Oh, if you're not getting either, like if the pilot or the main isn't kicking on, that's your gas valve unit here, needs to be replaced. If you're going in to replace that, I would recommend having a professional do it. There's little connections here where there's special putty and stuff that you need to use, and then you have to check it for leaks, and then you can install it. So I wouldn't recommend, I don't mess with anything on the gas side. But as far as changing your batteries, like if your power is out and your furnace won't kick on, or the fireplace won't kick on, check your batteries here. They like to corrode. Actually, this one has done it quite a few times. You see the spot here on the bottom. That's where it's corroded before. So if it's corroded, you can pour some baking soda on there, scrub it with a toothbrush, and then neutralize it all, and then wipe it all out, or vacuum it out, whatever. But yeah, so if it's not turning on, first thing you'll check is that you have power. But if it's coming on like ours is doing and just staying in that mode, then you have a problem. So what I did was I used a multimeter to check the sensor up top, the upstream sensor, which is the one that should tell it to ignite the main burner or open up the main valve. So once there's a flame, when you turn it on, when you first turn it on, it'll send an ignition, so it'll start arcing like a spark plug. And then it'll open up this gas valve here, which is your pilot gas valve. It just releases a little bit of gas, and then it should light like it does. And then when, can you get a picture? Can you get in there? Let me see. When, let's see, that, so, it's not gonna focus, is it? Okay, there. So that little piece right there senses the heat. It changes the signal coming down that wire and into here and tells it, hey, there's flame, now we're ready for the main gas event. So then this will process that and send a signal to open up your main valve, which is this one here with the handle on it. This one here. This is also your adjustment, but it'll tell that to open up. You'll hear that click if you have it all open and you're listening. And then once that clicks, you'll get your entire flame will pop out. So through troubleshooting this, all the sensors are good. I can hear the gas valve opening when I apply voltage to it, 3 volts. So that led us to believe that the main computer board's going bad, which we've had some issues with this in the past with this plug. It wasn't working before, and I unplugged and replugged this in a few times and then really kind of pushed on it. And if you held on it at the time, it would start working. So it's been kind of suspect for a while now. Let's see if I can get the part number here. Yeah, so that's the thing. And this is original. I think it's probably a little over 10 years old. So this is the original one. If it's all running perfect and your blower's not kicking on, if yours is equipped with a blower, that's the sensor. That's this sensor right there. So this sensor here is your thermostatic switch, which once that detects a certain amount of heat, your blower back here will turn on. And that's really all that's involved with that. That plugs into this power over here. Now, if you don't, if you've lost power to your house, that won't kick on unless you supply voltage to it. The only thing that battery backup does is supply voltage to this and the igniter, and enough to open up your gas valve. So let's go ahead and change out the unit here and see if that fixes our problem. All right, good old Bezos coming in clutch for us. So this is a brand new one. Hopefully it's the right one. Hopefully they sent me the right one. Looks right. Packaging is kind of rough, but it looks like it's okay. So the first thing you want to do, if you have part numbers, is verify your part numbers match. But also you want to make sure that all your plugs are in the same place. You can compare the two. This is obviously an updated version, but still retains the same plug setup. You know, all the things are in the same place. This QC check is on the front. The other QC check was on the back. Not a big deal. Looks like they had Velcro to hold it down, maybe. Yeah, there's a Velcro pad in there. But, so now what we'll do is we're gonna, first thing, unplug. We're gonna unplug this here. So for safety reasons, we'll unplug the main plug here. If you really wanted to go above and beyond, you could shut off the gas. I'm not going to because I know what I'm doing here, but if you're not familiar with these, you can shut off the gas by doing this. So now you have no gas going to the unit. I'm not worried about that. So now we've removed power, but remember, this still supplies power. So it's still not technically safe. You unplug these. You just wiggle these out and you disable this, which is your battery backup. Now there's absolutely no power going to this. So nothing you can do is going to cause power. There might be some capacitors in here with some residual power, but it's not going to be a big deal. So we'll start by removing one at a time, just so you don't put them in the wrong spots. That's our power. That goes to the plug. Can we turn on the, there we go. Okay. So we'll start one at a time. So we did the power first. That goes to this plug here. We'll set that over there. And then this is tricky. These can get damaged if you try to pull on the wire. You never want to pull on the wire. You always got to pull on the actual plug, which can be a pain. So you wiggle it, get it out. Make sure it's got the same amount of pins. Plug that in. You're almost done. We got the pilot there. We got this one here. All right, now what I'm going to do is look and make sure that there's nothing left unplugged. Everything looks good. We can check the wiring, make sure if you have ever had mice in your house, you want to check these wires, make sure they've not been chewed on, anything like that. That doesn't look like a problem here. These wires over here look good. Wires going up there looks good. Also make sure none of your wires are touching the bottom of this because this does get hot. So you don't want wires pressed up against that. This wiring harness does have a protective coating, like a heat shield on it. You can buy this harness. In fact, if I remember, I'll put a screenshot right now in the video of the harness part number for this particular model. And I'll also put the part number for the computer, whatever you want to call this, the brain unit. All right, so now we've got that done. I'm going to rehook up the battery. It goes black to black, red to red, or positive to positive. So they click into place. Now we got that. So now there is power to the unit. If you wanted to test if your battery backup works, now is the time to do it. So now, with this unplugged, you could try to turn it on. I'm not going to do that for this situation because this is a brand new computer. I want to plug everything in like it's supposed to be and test it under perfect conditions. So we're going to plug this back in up here, like that. Tuck everything in. Check everything. Everything's plugged in. Turn that on. The wires are touching up top. All right, let's go ahead and do a test run on it. So I'm going to go turn it on. Let me see that. I'll be able to catch the... Okay, I need to turn the... So let's turn it on now that we've installed that. Once that detects, there we go. So I don't know if you heard it in the video or not, but it clicked, meaning that the computer, whatever you want to call this unit, sent the signal to the main valve to open. Now, if your main valve was bad, let me show you what it'll do there. So say you do all this and it still isn't working. This was like 45 bucks. They've come down in price. They used to be a couple hundred. I think they were like almost 300, 200 and something when I first looked a while ago. But now you can get them on Amazon and they're cheaper. But if your gas valve were bad, this is your gas valve here. So let's unplug. That's the solenoid that goes to the main gas valve. So it can mimic the same situation I was having. Now watch. Turn it on. And it does the same thing as when this was bad. So I spent a lot of time troubleshooting this because everything was telling me that was the problem. But what you can do, if you're familiar with electronics, is you can actually, so all that happens is this sends three-ish volts, I don't remember how many amps, to this little piece here that goes to open the solenoid. So that's what I had to do. I had to bring my multimeter up. I had to look up exactly how many amps and volts it takes to open that, and I had to apply voltage to that. When you do, you can hear it click. So I'll let you see if I can get it to make the click noise. Hear it? That's it clicking. And also the gas turning on. So the two problems, these can present kind of the same way. If this is not telling it to turn on, then it won't turn on and it could seem like your valve is bad. But you can check your voltage coming from this, put a voltmeter between this and that spot there and see, but only do that if you know what you're doing. Don't mess around with it if you don't. But again, it's only like 3 volts, so it shouldn't hurt you, but still you don't want to go messing around with stuff you don't know. But you can detect for voltage, and I wasn't getting any voltage from this wire to the solenoid. So that told me there was something going on with this, so that's why I checked the sensors. I checked the sensor in here. Let's go ahead and shut that down. I checked the thermal sensor in there, and it was reading okay. It was telling me that there was a difference. When I applied heat to that, I got a voltage change on the sensor wire. So that led me to believe that this was bad. And at $45, and again, with Amazon's easy returns, it was a good bet that this was the problem. And it actually ended up being, I mean, I already knew it was because I had troubleshooted it, but so that's, if you change this and it still does the same thing, you might need to look into changing your solenoid or your gas valve, your main gas valve there. And if I remember, I'll put a part number to this one. Now this is there's a heat and glow. This is a heat and glow model, but some of these parts will be universal for other stuff. So make sure you check your model number for proper parts. Don't just buy the one I show because it may not be the one for yours. But if you open yours up and you see that they're identical, I think this is a GM6KA was the part number for this. But so yeah, you just plug everything in, make sure nothing's where it's not supposed to be, and then when it heats up, the fan will kick on under normal operation. That's your thermal switch. If your fan always kicks on way too late, you wish it to kick on sooner. They actually sell different degrees of thermal switch. So like this thermal switch might be on at 100 degrees or it might be on at 130, I don't know. But I would just use whatever the OEM put in there and keep it. They do things for a reason. So, but that's your thermal switch that controls your fan, if yours has the fan. Let's see, what else is there? Oh, I can show you how to take off the glass to clean it while we're here. So if your glass is really dirty on the inside, you pull these little knobs out towards you. Does it need to be out? Yeah, so you pull these little knobs out and up, and you do the same thing on the bottom, out and down, and then this whole piece of glass comes off. It gives you a chance to wipe it down before you use it for the year. Gives you a chance to check your thermal seal here, which this one's in great shape. So we'll lay that aside because we'll probably wipe it before we stick it back in. And then in here, this is how you would get to your igniter and everything. It bolts in. You can see there's a There's a small bolt to the, let's see, get it, come on. Okay, a small bolt to the right there. And then once you take that out and you have it unplugged on the bottom here, it'll just pull up through. So you got to take all these down. I recommend taking a picture of how yours is oriented, because once you take this apart, it's a impossible puzzle, it feels like. But also you can change your, I don't know what they call it, cotton fire stuff. It makes it look like it's burning. It gives it like an ember glow. But yeah, and then you can inspect your exhaust. Make sure no birds made a nest in there. And then you can look around at all your seals. Everything looks good. Don't have too much dust bunnies or anything that might cause a fire. You can look around. You can actually buy different arrangements of this too, but we're not going to go over that in this video. But yeah, that's how to troubleshoot and check, for this one anyway, whether it's this or your gas valve. Now, if you can hear this clicking, but no gas is coming out, it could be something like maybe someone has it off over here. But if your pilot turns on, if that little flame comes on, that means you have gas flowing. So, but, all right, let's go ahead and, I guess, wipe this down. When you're cleaning the glass for your duraglow fireplace, never spray it directly on here, because a lot of these are flammable. So anything you leave behind in this material on the side, it can absorb. So once you put it up there, you got flammable gases in there, it can cause a pop. So spray it on the rag itself, and then you can wipe it around. And they might make specialty stuff for doing this, but we've never used that. We always just use this stuff. And it makes a big difference. If you've had yours for a while and you've never cleaned it, it makes it so much better. As you can see, it gets dirty on the inside. You are still burning gas on the inside there. Never do it with it hot, obviously. You'll break your glass. All right. So once you get that, we'll put it back in place. It doesn't really matter the orientation, but I like to keep it the same. Remember which side is the top. And you set it right on these. It kind of holds it for you. Then you lean it in. Make sure you're centered on it. And you pull it out and down. Out, down. These go out and up. Like that. So now, with it open, we'll spray this side. Clean the glass, because once you put your screen on, you can't clean the glass. All right, we'll put the screen back over the front. Now this part's a little bit tricky because it has to catch on four of these, or I'm sorry, 2 of these. It has to catch on 2 of these sides, but the bottom has to be in place before you do. So I'll just stick it in there bottom first. I bring it in, and then you lift up and then go down. It kind of pops into place. You can wiggle it a little bit, make sure it's in there like it's supposed to be. And we'll give it a try. Okay. There's your pilot. A couple seconds later, the whole thing kicks on.
So, that video was pretty helpful, huh?
So there was a video, and clearly it worked. This is much better than manifesting heat. Real heat is much better. you like this episode of Smash and Drink, please give us a like and a subscribe. And remember to help your neighbor. And if you're cold, I hope you find a way to get warm. And remember that not all of us can get warm at this time of year. So let's keep people in our thoughts. Thanks for watching.